welcome to MadChat, your school podcast for library updates and exclusive talks with your favorite authors. Hi, I'm Henry.
And I'm Katya.
Today we were so lucky to be speaking with Shannon Messenger, author of the Keeper of the Lost Cities series.
Shannon just visited Madison earlier this year to talk with the 6th graders all about her series, and Henry and I got lucky enough to sit in on it.
If you haven't read her book series yet, it's a fantasy story about a girl named Sophie who grows up with the gift of telepathy. And at the age of 12, she finds out she's really an elf.
And we're not talking about the Christmas kind of elves. No.
We're thinking more hardcore Legolas elves from Lord of the Rings kind of way.
But let's turn it over to Shannon Messenger now. She's the real expert on her books. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to hear from you again.
We've got some questions for you today, and then a little fun surprise game at the end.
So
Sounds
let's get
fun.
started.
Okay.
Our first question is about Keeper of the Lost Cities fandom.
Okay.
Everyone takes sides on who they think Sophie should like. Fitz, Dex, or Keith. And we were wondering which team you were on.
You know, I am always on Team Sophie, and what I mean by that is I really am going to let her be the one that chooses the guy, and I try to stay out of it, which I know sounds really weird because I'm the author, but I always say that I'm controlling the plot, and I'm not really controlling how the characters respond to the plot. I just write by asking myself, so what are they going to do? And so, as far as all the teams and the shipping and the fandom and everything, I'm just writing every scene by going, so what's Sophie going to do now? And hopefully she eventually gives me an answer to that question, and hopefully the fandom's happy with it. And I'll be just as surprised as everybody else.
That's great. Well, I have one follow-up question. Well, I was on Pinterest, and I found this little picture. It said, keep calm and love Keith. But then it said the person who posted it was you.
I pin any fan stuff that I find. I usually pin it to like my fan boards or the keeper boards just so that that's where a lot of other people go. So that was not made by me. That was just something I found. And I figured
okay.
For me to love Keith, I love all my characters.
Yeah, because I was thinking before this that you were on Team Keith because I thought you posted that.
No, I posted it, but I didn't make it. I tried to give credit where credit's due to my fans, so they are the ones that made that.
Awesome.
Okay, so what was your inspiration for the book, or the moment when your ideas all came together and you knew how the rest of the story was going to go and it just flew?
You know, I got my inspiration from a lot of different places, but two of the big ones were my love of Legolas from Lord of the Rings, especially when he's played by Orlando Bloom, and then my love of X-Men. And that was kind of when it came together, when I decided to smash those two ideas together. I wanted to do something with elves that were really, really cool, but I didn't want them to feel so medieval and in the past. I wanted them to feel very modern and current. And so once I started thinking about how the X-Men was set in our world and how each character sort of has its own unique ability, and thought, what if I sort of merged that with the elves that I had floating around in my head? What would come out of that? And it all sort of started to take shape. And once I had the world in place, then the story that is what Sophie's all wrapped in sort of came out of that.
All right.
That's great. Thank you. All right. So we were wondering what your favorite part of growing Sophie as a character was.
You know, it's been really fun watching her become so much more comfortable with who she is. When we first meet her, she's very tentative. She's had to hide her abilities, and she's never felt comfortable really getting attention or anything like that, and she kind of wants to hide a lot. And now she's starting to get pretty strong-willed and really stands up to the adults that try to push her around and not answer her questions. And she is pretty secure in her friendships and doesn't always worry that they're going to abandon her or betray her. So it's been really fun watching her become comfortable with who she is, because she spent a lot of the first couple of books sort of wishing she could be like everybody else and hating that she's different. And now she's slowly starting to appreciate that she's different because she knows those differences are what make her able to do the important things that she needs to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So another question without any spoilers. What will people be surprised about in the next book?
I'm assuming you mean book 5, or do you mean book 4?
4, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so for book 4, I think they're going to be surprised, number 1, by how many answers I give them, because I really do answer a lot of questions in the book. A lot of the emails that I've been getting for years saying, are you ever going to explain this? You get answers to those questions, but at the same time, the story is really curving a new way. My publisher is calling this the game changer book, and it really is. So as much as you get answers to a lot of questions, it also raises a ton more that nobody really saw coming, and so that's definitely a big surprise too.
Wow, okay, great.
So being an author, I'm sure you do a lot of reading too. What's your favorite young adult book or middle grade book that you've been reading lately?
Oh, I'm glad you said just that I've been reading lately, because it's so hard to pick favorites. I love, for YA, I love anything by Casey West. She writes both sort of a paranormal-ish one, and then she also writes contemporary books that are love stories. I love all of them. And for middle grade, I love the Unwanted series by Lisa McMahon. I love anything Michael Buckley writes. There's so many. I could go on and on.
And for our final question, we were wondering how you come up with the names for your characters, and how, if any of your characters are inspired by actual people in your life.
For the names, I have read more baby name books than any person without kids has ever read. And I do that because I like the names to have a meaning. There's a few where I couldn't find the right meaning, so I just went with a name that I liked. But, like, Sophie means wisdom, and Keith means good-looking one, and Fitz is actually from a name called Fitzroy, which means son of the king, and since his family is kind of the equivalent of royalty, that fit. So there's usually some sort of connection in the meaning, but there's a few that I just couldn't. And the characters are not based on me or anyone I know. And I do that very intentionally because I feel like my job as an author is to be as evil as possible to my characters. Because the more readers are worried about them, the more it's page-turning, the more you're invested in the story. So if I based them on people I know, I would probably have all of my friends start hating me because they'd be like, what?
That's so true.
So I'm very careful to not have them remind me of anyone I know, because the last thing I want is for them to recognize that and then be like, why did you let my character have this bad thing happen to them? So
now that you've finished all of our questions, we have a little bonus game for you.
Okay.
It's called 1 Minute Roundup, where you'll give a sentence starter and you'll complete the sentence.
Oh boy, okay.
And we'll see how many of these you can complete in 1 minute.
Keep in mind, I have not had caffeine today and just got home from a 2-week tour, so it's
yeah. And so, when you hear the duck quack, your time is up.
Okay.
Any questions?
I think I've got it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Here it goes. First sentence. 3, 2, 1. When I was Sophie's age,
I was not nearly as cute as her.
I can't live without
Cupcakes.
I can't stand
Oh gosh, I'm blanking out. Coffee.
my book is
Really long.
the 3 things I take to a deserted island.
Cupcakes, a book, and water.
What MadChat should have asked me is,
How much sleep have I gotten over the last 2 weeks? Which is about 12 hours total, probably.
Thank you so much.
and thank you so much, Shannon. That was so much fun getting to know you better. And thanks again for coming to our school and talking to us over Skype.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. You guys were one of my favorite schools of the tour, so thank you.
Awesome. maybe we'll even get lucky enough to hear from you again when your next book comes out.
I would love that, so hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
If you loved hearing about Shannon Messenger's books and love fantasy books, Katya and I have 2 other great read-alike books that you might want to try.
The one I love is The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. Alex and Connor don't have much to celebrate after their father's death, but on their 12th birthday, their grandmother gives them their beloved childhood storybook. Little do they know it's magical. When Alex falls in, Connor has to jump in to save her, but they can't get out the same way they got in. They meet a ton of cool people, like Little Red Riding Hood, Ariel, and they even get to climb Rapunzel's tower. This book is fun for all ages.
And the book I love is the Unwanted series by Lisa McCain. Every year in Quill, 13-year-olds are sorted into categories. The strong, intelligent wanteds go to the university, and the artistic unwanteds are sent to their deaths. 13-year-old Alex tries his hardest to be as stoked when his fate is announced as unwanted, even while leaving behind his twin, Aaron, a wanted. Upon arrival at the destination where he's expected to be eliminated, however, Alex discovers a stunning secret. Behind the mirage of the Death Farm, there is instead a place called Our Time. In Our Time, each child is taught to cultivate their abilities and learn how to use them magically, weaving spells through paintbrushes and musical instruments. Everything Alex has ever known changes before his eyes and into a wondrous transformation. But it's a rare, unique consequence for twins to be separated between wanteds and unwanteds. And as Alex and Aaron's bonds stretch across their separation, a threat arises for the survival of Our Time that will pit brother against brother in an ultimate magic battle. You can find our podcast on our YouTube channel or on Madison's Library Schoology page.
And if you have an author you would love to hear from, leave us a comment on our podcast page on Schoology, and we'll try to set up an interview.
One more big thanks to Shannon Messenger for letting us talk with her today.
And shout out to all of our first MadChat listeners. You guys are awesome.
Well, we've chatted about it today, Madison. Tune in next time to hear our interview with Marissa Meyer, author of the Lunar Chronicle series.
Bye!